trying to show that he, wanted to get ahead of this whole thing before it gets blown out of proportion.
Now, if this is the one I'm thinking of, they were yelling that he was trying to grab the gun and they shot him.
Yeah, well, they weren't sure whether he had put hands on the officer or not. Evidently, the officer might have felt that his life was threatened in some way. I don't know. Again, well, no, I'm not saying one way or the other.
If this is the one I'm thinking of, he was yelling out, he's going for my gun or something, and they have a tape of it.
Right. There is. They are going to investigate. They have a tape of everything that happened, and like I said,
there's more than one cop, and two of them were wearing webcams, so they're going to find out what happened.
Exactly.
But so far, with every one of these murders that President Obama and Al Sharpton and our Attorney General were talking about, and saying they'll get down to the bottom of it and all that. And they have gotten to the bottom, and so far there have been no civil rights violations.
Well, according as I reported in the write-up, Holder said that there was there was no decisive evidence to say in order with which to hold Darren Wilson accountable for the death of Michael Brown. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean, obviously, that the family is not pursuing a civil suit.
Yeah.
It's just, I find...
Yeah, he put it pretty flatly that it wasn't his fault. He was pretty much...
Well, wait, are you talking about Wisconsin or are you talking about...
Ferguson.
Well, I mean, Holder said there was no proof to show that, charges should be filed against Darren Wilson. Unfortunately, when you get a crowd riled up, though, sometimes there's no placating them.
Yeah, no. But he was very clear. He said he was never shot in the back. He never put his hands up. None of those things happened. This is what came out of Holden's mouth. And Zimmerman, they also found that he.
Oh, that guy is just bad news.
But what he did, bad news or not, was wrong, but not necessarily illegal.
Well, that's it. You see, a lot of these things. Just skirting on, again, they can't prove anything, but like I said, some people will never be satisfied, okay, unless there's an indictment handed down. Yeah. And the bottom line is the courts don't want to hand down an indictment unless they know they could win the case. And there's no case to be won here.
Well, even when they did indict and they had a grand jury, Zimmerman went to trial. He was found innocent. Staten Island, the more they're looking into it, the more they realize there was no chokehold involved.
Well, unfortunately, the media tends to rush to judgment because that's what media tends to do.
No, Al Sharpton tends to rush to judgment.
Yeah, well, I have nothing positive to say about Al Sharpton.
What's it called? The Action...
his Action Network.
Yeah.
All that does is further his own political ambitions.
The Trouble Network.
He's a troublemaker. That's all he is.
And the people in Wisconsin don't want any part of him.
Well...
They told him they don't want him there. They came right out and said it.
Well, let's see what happens. Right now, this is all still fresh. And listen, if there's not going to be any indictment in Wisconsin, who knows whether or not they're going to welcome somebody like Al Sharpton shooting his mouth off.
Well, no, the parents didn't want him there.
In Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they refused to.
Well, then I don't know why the mother of this kid Robinson wouldn't want to meet with the
Because she was upset, probably, but they didn't want Sharpton there.
Well, it's, he's just looking to further his own political agenda. We all know that, right, by now.
Yeah,
But, ladies and gentlemen, it's...
By the way, was he in the Selma today? Or not today, but...
he was there yesterday, yes, I believe.
He was there?
Over the weekend. He made sure to say that,
Yeah, I'm sure he stood up and jumped up and down, waving his hands. It's me, Al. I'm here, Reverend Al. Look.
Sure he did.
Now, what do you think of all this hogwash with our next possible candidate?
Hillary with the 55,000 emails or whatever it is.
Yep.
Hey, look.
I mean, you can't say this is a Republican thing. Everybody's jumping on top of her for this.
Well, she should have been, when she was in Congress and everything, or when she was Secretary of State, she just should have used a sanctioned email account from the Secretary of State, or when she was a senator, as opposed to mixing it with her...
Personal email. And when they asked her for the copies of those emails, you know what she sent them?
Obviously, I think something along the lines of no.
She sent them 55,000 written pages, printed up pages. Instead of sending the electronic files, which you would think she would do.
Well... Hey, look, there's a lot to be said for that, too. I'm not passing any judgment on that.
Yeah.
What she has to do is, and not just her, anybody with political aspirations should, if they think there's going to be a problem with anything, they should just get ahead of it, from the start.
Now it's against the law to do what she did. Then it was just suggested not to do it. Now they passed the law saying that you can't use your own private emails any longer. And guess what?
What?
There's a big gap in the emails that she gave him with information missing.
18 minutes? The Watergate tapes, 18 minutes.
All the Benghazi stuff, there were no emails. They're all missing. This is from everybody. This is not Republican stuff. And
well, look, the bottom line.
She didn't send any emails during that time.
The bottom line is, she has to get ahead of this stuff before anybody could make something out of it. If it's nothing, it's nothing.
Well, it's already something because she should have never done it.
Well,
it's never. I think the last person that did that possibly was what was the name of the black Secretary of State?
Colin Powell?
Yeah, Colin Powell may have done that. I'm not sure. But this is what you're going to really love. That senator from South Carolina, I think, that was to...
Yes, Lindsey Graham. He says he's never sent an email. I don't know how to do that stuff.
He said, you can look at all my emails. I don't have any. I never sent one. Yeah. That's the man we want to vote for. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. And more people are going towards that guy from Wisconsin now.
Scott Walker.
Scott Walker. It seems like he's flip-flopping on his positions to make him more conservative. To get more people to like him, he's changing some of his positions.
I don't know why. Look, if he's going to be the Republican,
Candidate
for president, he's got to be somewhere around center right. Okay, he can't come across as being too conservative. What I didn't like about him is what I don't like about any governor who starts to bust unions. Even though unions tend to protect the worst within people, the bottom line there is, I'm still a union person, and I know what would happen if we didn't have unions to protect the ordinary working man.
I don't know about now any longer. Yes, when they first started. But now I think most of the unions don't have that much power anymore, and the better companies give good benefits.
Well, that's always been the case. I mean, you take your IBM and your Apple and Amazon, from day one, they've always given their employees the best of everything. In fact, the funny thing is, if you go back to the early days of IBM and Microsoft, all those employees who were smart enough to take stock options as opposed to ordinary bonuses are multimillionaires now. You have secretaries, if they're still working, you have secretaries that are earning six figures, not to mention having millions in the bank because they had the foresight to say, hey, this company's really going to be going somewhere, so I'll take the stock options.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, I have not received a phone call tonight. 646-595-3275.
Well, we've almost been on for 3/4 of an hour. If that's the case, you know what usually happens on a Monday when nobody calls up. Felix and I will be
watching LA.
NCIS LA.
LA, yeah, that's it.
10 o'clock. We'll probably put on one song. One more song before we sign off.
Yeah. That's the way it is, But as always, the people who are listening to us on our pod, which is most of our audience, we appreciate you listening to us.
We always do, and we expect that the pod will be checked out pretty much over the next 3 days or so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the one nice thing about pods, people sometimes even listen to them a month later, 2 months later. I guess somebody gets on, reads on, says, I don't remember listening to the show, and they'll go ahead and
yes,
listen.
we have our own collection of pod people,
And also, just remember, we are on iHeart. You can look us up at the Coffee Club.
And iTunes.
The Coffee Club.
And Blog Talk Radio. And we're in the cloud somewhere.
Spreaker, TuneIn, YouTube.
Any one of a number of places you could find us.
Yes, or not.
If I were you, I'd go look in your backyard and pick up the nearest stone. You may find us under there too.
We are the Coffee Club, and now that we're just starting to warm up now for the election season, when the infamous Coffee Club party will start brewing with more of our opinions and our drive to have people vote.
That's right. We'll have meaningless candidates come on and espouse their value to the people.
Was there another Rockaway election coming up?
We shouldn't really say. I mean, look, we gave that guy quite a podium,
The man came out and just started talking, didn't stop for 20 minutes, and then walked out.
No, he was on for pretty much close to an hour.
Was he?
Yeah, he really was. I mean, he got his money's worth out of us.
Yeah, yes.
The sad thing was, though, ladies and gentlemen, that it was quite... I mean, look, nobody was asking questions but Felix and myself. No one from